Well, welcome to What's Broken. Here's my latest acquisition. A little yard machine made by MTD. It's got a 4-cycle engine, 179 overhead valve CC engine in it. Electric start. Looks to be in really good shape, but of course it won't start. Or won't run. So I'm just gonna commence trying to figure out why that is occurring. I picked it up to keep me busy while I'm just waiting on the parts for this snowblower motor. The fella I got it from, I think he got it from a neighbor who passed. Doesn't look like it's had a lot of use on it. And he figured the carburetor's gummed up, but you know, you get all kinds of stories when you pick up one of these units. Thinking perhaps the first thing, see if it has any spark. Well, the plug smells like old bad gas. What is it? A Torch F6 RTC. But it doesn't look terrible. Shut the lights out and see if we get any spark. Oh yeah. Well, that eliminates one issue. Yeah, maybe I'll pop the bowl off and have a quick look. Don't know if these are imperial or metric. 10's a little loose. Just stuff a rag under here to catch any gas leaking. I wouldn't say the gas smells wonderful. Maybe a little rusty inside there. Pitted up a little bit. I can clean that up. Pop this float off and the needle valve, and it's a little hard coming out. Yeah, maybe that isn't rust, but the beginning of the ethanol gas starting to do what it does. Yeah, this is pretty gummed up. So I think, having said that, I'll pull the carb off and probably run it through the ultrasonic. Not sure if just these two bolts will get this cover off. There's a couple of little screws on the top. It appears I need a little light on the subject. Yeah, just pull hard. A little bit of an air box. Probably just rinse that out, get rid of the dust. Whoops. Well, looks like the primer bulb's working. He had the gas line off when I was there. He said the gas tank was leaking, so I'll have to check that out as well. The gasket looks reusable. What else we got here? No, there's a linkage. A linkage and a spring. Yeah, so to get that linkage off, I just had to turn the throttle valve all the way clockwise, and it just popped out. Yeah, there's a fair bit of varnish and debris on the choke plate. Everything moves relatively free. I can get this gasket off without wrecking it. If I have to, I can make one. But I'd rather not. Actually, what holds this on? Because there's another gasket in between. Yep. So that's going to need a gasket for this little spacer plate. If I'm careful, maybe I can use it as a template. It's stuck on there pretty good. Yeah, there we go. Got most of it. I'll maybe soak that with some WD or something and take a soft or a plastic putty knife, scrape some of that off. Oh yeah, that's ugly up the center. Definitely gonna need a good soaking. See if I can get this out without stripping it. It's not sounding good. Yeah, I don't know how well that shows up, but that's definitely all gummed up. So I think I'm going to soak it first and then see if I can get that unscrewed. I don't know if that's going to go back in or not, but I can always pick one up. A 165 JB. HUAYI. Huyi. Maybe undo that. This has got kind of a half moon head on it, but this flat head's working. I think it wants to come, Probably just gummed up. There it goes. I don't know if there's supposed to be a hole through there, but there isn't. Okay, choke levers off. Looks like that choke plate is kind of crimped to this composite shaft. I'll leave well enough alone. I don't think there's anything else that needs to come out yet. While I'm waiting for this to heat up, I'm going to put this in and let it soak anyway. That's just a tea strainer that I bent the tabs so it would sort of hang off the end. I'll let that warm up and then I'll run it through turn on the ultrasonic and run it through a few cycles. Well, the fluid's warmed up a bit, so I'm running it through the ultrasonic. I turn that on. I can do 480 seconds, which is I think 8 minutes per cycle, so I'll probably do 2 or 3 of those. Bring you back when it's done and we'll see how clean it is. Well, while I'm waiting for the ultrasonic bath to do its thing, I found some gasket paper, so I think I'll build a new gasket. Looks like there's a little hole in this gasket to allow maybe overflow, I'm not sure, to come around and drop out down below. That one might be a little small. That should do it. Yeah, it looks about the same size. I got this 3/4 punch, which looks like it should be about the right size. And the hole is punched. That looks like it should fit. Well, that should work. Well, the stew has stopped percolating. The float's still floating, so that's good. Inside of the bowl cleaned up really nice. I still have to clean up that gasket. Let's put this in the vise and see if I can get that, I think it's the emulsion tube out. Got a couple different screwdrivers here. This one I'd ground down the sides to fit. It might not be quite wide enough. It doesn't really want to budge. I'll try one of these multi-drivers. Oh, It might have loosened it, or I might have just buggered the threads up. No, it got it. I think it got it. Yeah, good thing I got it out, because it's still plugged. Start with my old tip cleaners from when I was a welder. Oh yeah. Fair amount of debris came out. Try going up one size. Yeah, that one's too big. I think I'm going to drop that back in the bath for a little bit. Yeah, so I got the jet out, but I'll see if this tube will, not sure if it'll pop out or not. And can't access it from the top. Does not want to budge. Well, yeah, back in the bath with these for a few minutes and a couple of cycles, and then I'll blow them out with brake cleaner and then with air. By the way, the fluid I'm using in the bath is a 50-50 mix of citrus degreaser, because I can't put flammables in this particular model. So yeah, 50% citric degreaser and 50% water. That tube is clear through the center, so let's soak it a little more. Another 8 minutes should do it. Now while that's soaking, this jet has a spring on it to help hold it in place. Or not jet, needle valve. The nice thing about using that citric degreaser is it's not as harsh on, like this is a rubber or neoprene tip, composite tipped needle valve. It's not as hard on the plastics and the rubber as a hydrocarbon based cleaner would be. but it still does a pretty good job. Okay, that jet's nice and clean. Going to be very gentle scraping this old gasket away. That degreaser loosened it up quite nicely. Let me open the throttle and choke plate. I just want to make sure that it's blowing through. Yep. So I think this is what's called a pilot jet, and there's a hole that goes through it this way. I took my smallest tip drill, but this brass, little inverted brass cap seems to, I don't think there's a hole through it. At least I can't find one or see one. So I'm going to put it back together. And if it doesn't run, that may just be the problem. We'll screw this until it just touches the throttle. That looks good. Hopefully this fits right back into place. That it didn't expand too much or stretch when I took it out. It's a square O-ring, so it does look like it did expand a bit. Well, I kind of got it back into place. It is a little bit swelled. I'll give it a try anyway. Yeah, it looks like it's sitting about level with the body. I give this about a 60% chance of sealing. So upside down, I shouldn't be able to blow through it. And this way I should. Well, that seems okay so far. Let's go slap it back together and put a little gas in and see if it'll start. If it doesn't, it very well could be that pilot jet, but we'll see. Now if this goes on that way, yeah, that looks better, because that fits in there. Then this will go on that one. Whoops. So go on that way, which corresponds, yep. Now I'll hook the governor spring and the throttle back up. Does it have to go under or over? Okay, so it goes under. That fits in. I don't like where that spark plug's routed. I may have got it in the wrong place. pop it apart for the third time. Third time's a charm. Would be helpful if my fingers were a little smaller. Set that in, and then the spark plug. Yeah, that's better. Spark plug's out of the way. That'll turn. Oh shit. Huh. Probably should have put this on first. I can get it with a short screwdriver. I just put a driver bit in a 1/4 inch socket. I dropped the socket down there somewhere. See if a magnet will find it. There it is. Okay. Governor spring's hooked up, the throttle's hooked up. The choke's in the right, is set up. Just going to clip the end off this primer line so we got a nice tight fit. And this blow-by or breather tube has to slide onto that. Yeah, almost forgot. So I got a gasket on that side, one there. I think I got that upside down. That's better. What I think I'll do is pop this off. push it on first. Be easier to hook up after. Well, the only two pieces I got left over are these two chrome nuts. So far, it looks like it's going together properly. And the other thing, or the last thing, is this gas line. He did say it was leaking. I don't know if he put a new hose on. Hose looks to be in good shape. I'll put a gallon or two in and see if it leaks. Okay, so that's tight, gas is tight, our line's hooked up, primer's hooked up. Well, let's put a little bit of fuel in it and see if it leaks or starts or whatever. Okay, I put a half a gallon of gas or so in, plugged it in because it's got the E-start. I'll prime it, says 3 times. Oh, that's not good. Huh. Not sure where that gas is coming out. I'll just roll it away a bit. So it's primed, choke it. Maybe before I give it the E-start, I'll try pulling. Choking it a bit. Well, it seems to be hunting a bit, surging or hunting when there's no load on it, but it levels out. The only other thing I want to try is, does the electric start work? So yeah, it's hunting a bit. It sounds like it's starving. When I put the choke on about half or 3/4, it levels out. So chances are I need to just get some proper gaskets and do a carb kit on it. So I did a little bit of reading and looking on the old worldwide interweb last night, and it turns out these 192 cc? 179 cc power motors are notorious for surging. So a couple things come to mind. Maybe my gaskets are okay. I need to get that emulsion tube out, and that little pilot jet needs to be unplugged for starters. And the second part is I may take my mini drills and open up. A number of the people on the forums said they opened up the main jet and the pilot jet a certain amount in order to get rid of the surging. So, but first I think I need to get that emulsion tube out, make sure it's cleaned, and drill out that metering valve or pilot jet. I won't bore you with taking it off because we saw that already. Oh, and the other thing I don't think I mentioned yet was I picked this up for a buddy of mine. He's been shoveling his walk, but we're both getting up there over 60, and I said something about, well, do you want a snowblower? And he kind of lit up at the idea. So just basically his driveway and the sidewalk around to the back of the house. They don't have any sidewalks in the front. So do a quick pop apart again. Get this metering valve out again. Try drilling it. With those mini drills. And I think the tricky one is going to be this, getting the emulsion tube out. Well, or not. Maybe it got loosened up from the ultrasonic bath. Other thing I read was, I don't know if it's going to work, One guy said to slide a pipe cleaner through, and if I can grab it, he said tie a knot in the end of it. And pull the emulsion tube out. Huh, it works. Yeah, holding it up to the light, the majority of all these holes are blocked. I just put the drill in the vise. Well, it's either solid with gunk or it's just solid. Or the hole's way smaller than a 75. Really can't see if there's supposed to be a hole, but everybody on the forum said there was. I'm thinking if it was just plugged up with debris, that should have gone through. Having said that, I think I'll try the smallest drill I have. The smallest one is an 80. I don't know what that translates to in millimeters or inches. Well, it's still not going through. We'll put that pilot jet or metering orifice jet aside. I think I'm going to clean this out. Yeah, I can see the gunk from the side holes when looking down the barrel of it. Maybe I'll go with that 80 again. Yeah, I can feel all the crunchy debris in there. get a shorter bite on this. I don't want to break it. Looks like there's 2 holes across and 3 holes across that way. Well, that's good. It pushes all the way through. Use a slightly larger one for all of those holes. Just giving these a real good reaming, and I'll blow them out and use carb clean or brake clean on them. So all of those are cleaned out. I'm not sure if how my logic works on this, but given that this unit doesn't idle, and I've tried forcing a drill through that a few times, different size drills. And I just had my sister, who has better eyes than me, look, and she said it looks just like it's solid brass at the bottom. So given that this doesn't idle, it just goes straight to whatever, 3600 RPM or whatever the, let me have a quick look, I think I wrote it down. 1800 RPM. It doesn't have any sort of speed control on it. So my logic tells me that it doesn't need this idle circuit. It just needs the wide open circuit, which would be this one in the main jet. Now that differs from what I read on the various forums last night, but that's good and clean. These will just clean the main jet out again. I don't really want to use I don't want to be too abrasive on it. I just want to gently clean out anything that might be in there. So I think I will put it back together and give it another try. I think, what size did that say these were? So it did say number 79 for the emulsion tube holes, and I was using an 80. See if this goes down to 65. I'll try about a 63. That still feels too tight. Let's try a 66. Jumped up to a 69. It's still pretty tight. So 74 was loose. Try a 71. That was a 70. think 70 is the number. 69 feels like it'll start to take some of the brass out. Just gonna make a note to myself to try a 69 if I have to. No joke there. And I'm gonna soak this a bit, get rid of some of this green corrosion or whatever, leftover gas and varnish. Blow these out. And we'll put it back together again and we'll see if it'll run. Okay, I got the carb back on. It is weeping a little bit around that bowl gasket, so I think I will pick up one of those. But for now it should be startable. Yeah, it feels just a little wet. Give it one squirt and no choke. Well, it is still hunting a bit, so I'll pick up the new bowl seal and maybe drill out, take apart the carb and drill out that jet just a hair. So the third time's a try, or how's it go? The third time's a charm. This O-ring or seal, it's kind of soft and rotten, so I think it's seen better days. It's actually gotten a little gluey. Some of it stuck to the body of the carb. I'll clean that up a little better. I was able to go to a local place, small engine parts and repair, and they were able to sell me a new seal or O-ring. And it looks like it should fit. Here's the part number for this particular carb, which is a Huyai, Huyai, and it's a 165 JB, And this is the carb float bowl O-ring, a 951-11589A. The other thing I did was just one of these driver bits. I just took my sanding disc and ground some of the hexagon off it, the angles or the edges, because it fits this jet nicely, but it was almost too tight where it was rubbing against the threads. So I'll have to put this somewhere where I can remember it in case I run into this size of orifice again. And because it was hunting, I think that this hunting is, I think I mentioned earlier, is pretty common. So I'm going to try, I think it was a number 69. Yeah, that's just a little tight. That opened it up slightly, and I'm going to go one more size, a 68. Again, I lost my index for what that is in inches, but well, 68 it'll fit too. I think maybe go one more. So I'll go to a 66. I'm thinking maybe that first one I used, the 69, cleaned out some more debris. I'm going to stop there. Some of the people were going as low as a 65 and even up to a 60, which is 0.04 of an inch. So I'm going to put it back together and give it a try. So the carb should have filled up with gas by now. It's not leaking down below. I'm going to try starting with the E-start. Well, it fired right up without any choke. The primer bulb's working well. but it starts hunting. So I think I will pop that jet out again. Won't have to take the carb off this time. I'm going to take a minute, pop that jet off, use 1 or 2 size larger mini drills, and then we'll try it again. Okay, I just reamed out that jet a little bit up to a number 65 or sorry, a 61, which is a 0.035 of an inch. I already hit the primer bulb a couple of times. The choke is completely open, so we'll see what it does now. I probably could have checked the valves before I fired it up and, you know, it warmed up a bit, because you got to check them cold. But we'll see what this does, and if I can't get this sort of sorted out, I'm going to let it cool right off, and then I'll check the valves. Well, the hunting goes away under load, so I think I might leave it for now and take it over to my buddy. And next winter he can give it a try, and if we need to, I'll drill those holes out, or that jet out a little more. If this $12 Amazon engine tack is even close, it reads that this is spinning at you know, 3200 RPM. I thought I read that they ran at 1800, but maybe I got that wrong, or maybe this somehow doubled the RPM. It doesn't sound like it's running that like too high. So yeah, I'm gonna call that good for now, and if I do the valves or do something else, I'll try to catch that on video. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll maybe see you on the next one. Bye for now. Just a little additional info I noticed, and then I painted the cap, or the lettering on the cap, where it says max 10% ethanol and no E85, which I'm assuming is regular. It also says it there. So I'm not sure, but I am going to look into whether or not that would cause some surging. I know a number of different motors I've used and had and worked on require premium gas. And for the amount that this thing will use over a winter, you know, the price of a couple of gallons of premium is probably worth it. Anyhow, signing off. Bye for now.